This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, times, peoples, places, things, moments, experiences. But at its heart, at its core, it is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and the Auburn family. Since it's about family, let's get a few of those members of that unit in here. I'm your host, Kyle Loomis. Alongside me, as always, in chair number 2, the best co-host in the land, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back for episode 83, sir.
Thank you. War Eagle to you, Kyle. War Eagle to all our listeners out there. Hope they're doing well. We are coming up on the end of June. If you're listening to this tomorrow, I guess, or when this comes out, it'll be July already. So, I mean, the year is flying by.
This is us speaking to you in the past, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're listening to the audio portion.
Hello, future.
It's not, I wish we could give you some encouragement for what the future is going to look like, but
no clue.
I was going to make a political joke, but I'm not going to. I'm
going
to stray really far away from that.
Let's not.
I'm thinking of several others that I could have used off of that, and I'm going to not do it. We did not behave last episode, Austin, or I didn't maybe. So I'm going to behave.
Yeah.
In this,
I don't think I behaved either. I don't really remember it.
Well, you were in a different place, so let's give you a
very
little bit
different.
Credit.
I'm back though.
He's back. Got this TV screen. Maybe his camera won't fall. Let's see how far we can make this thing. Auburn potpourri, one of our favorite segments to start off the show. Just rapid fire some Auburn stories that maybe we won't spend a whole segment on, but one that I think that we have to start this particular show with, and almost got forgotten in show prep somehow. Bo Jackson made it into a Hall of Fame for the Kansas City Royals. Now, folks, some of you are probably saying, Kyle, duh, he's the greatest of all time. Why is he probably was already in there? No, folks, he just got into the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame, and that literally just happened, I think, yesterday, Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So extremely happy, very much deserved. Were you similar to probably some people, Austin, with thinking he was already there?
Well, I definitely knew he wasn't in Cooperstown, right? The MLB Hall of Fame. I was aware of that. I did think that he was in one of those teams' Hall of Fames, whether the Royals or the White Sox, just because those aren't like, I wouldn't know that as just I'm a Braves guy, but I wouldn't know that as just a common, like that. It's a big deal, but it's not, those can be a little more fluid in who you want to let in and things. So I would have thought that would have been done by now. It's a shame it hadn't been, but nonetheless, really excited for Bo, his family, and him being recognized professionally by the Royals. It is a story that has been told over and over. It is the 30 for 30 was wonderful. It just stinks about the injuries, because he would have been in all the Hall of Fames by now. It's unfortunate, but he is the greatest, and he is definitely past due to be in that Hall of Fame circle. So happy for him and happy for the Royals. Really cool to see Auburn. I think they had a billboard up there that they have a congratulations to him in Kansas City. So pretty cool. Always fun seeing that Auburn experience in other places we're not used to.
It's about time. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
For the greatest of all time, that he's finally where he belongs, in the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame. Maybe one day some more. I don't know. I can't vouch for his other times, other places, but he had everybody's respect if you watched the documentaries when those all came out on ESPN and otherwise. So let's move on to this little story that is not a little story, because it is all about my love for one Jalen Williams. I love that man to death and back. Our recent graduate, 5th-year graduate, Jalen Williams, for, following his dreams to the NBA draft. The draft happened this week. If you are a fan of an NBA team, I hope y'all had a good draft. I don't really watch it outside of the Auburn folks. Not really a strong chance that Jalen would have gotten drafted, and he did not. But that's not the end of the story for a lot of players. In fact, that's just the beginning, and often sets them up for a surprising trajectory. Maybe it will be for Jalen. He does, after the draft, pick up an undrafted free agent deal. And I believe I'm saying this terminology correctly, Austin, a 10-day deal where he will be able to compete in Summer League and fight for a spot on the final roster, or potentially what's called a two-way deal for the Denver Nuggets. And am I from your recollection saying that correctly?
I believe so. I think it's an Exhibit 10 deal, a two-way deal. You can sign a different thing, but I think that's a little more binding to you're on the minor league
Yeah.
for per se team. So Jalen's got some work to do. It's great news that he's going to get to compete in summer league because everyone else gets to watch him too. And so even if Denver feels like, hey, we don't have a spot, he is auditioning, if for lack of a better term, with all these other teams he gets to play against. So Jalen got his foot in the door. I hate that he didn't get drafted. I think he was definitely had a chance toward the end. There were some people who got drafted for probably not their play on the court. We don't have to go there.
Who'd that be?
Well, your last name can mean something in some places. So it's unfortunate for Jalen, but he's got the opportunity and he can make the most of it with what he wants. So looking forward to seeing how his role plays out. I think Denver is a great spot for him to at least start that journey.
Can we acknowledge the funny bit that could and probably should have happened with
the Thunder?
The Thunder, 3 Jalen Williams on one team.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been the craziest thing because people did get drafted by their name and name alone. So
if we're gonna be drafted by names, why not have a triple threat, literally, on the Thunder? And they could have made up for a previous time when they didn't select a certain player that they should have.
Great
just
point.
saying. Congratulations, though, to Jalen Williams. We always like to give you guys a little bit of non-sports mixed in potpourri, but that's Auburn related. So we are going to give you that here. This is very recent news compared to where we are currently recording, but we're talking about Miss America / Miss Alabama. An Auburn University student has won Miss Alabama. From her region, I guess, or her area. She was Miss Hoover. Her name is Abby Stockard, and she is a current Auburn nursing student. And shout out to my wife, Jessica, who is a graduate and quite a heck of a representative for that nursing school. It's a great one. So Auburn doesn't just conquer the sports. We conquer the pageants as well.
There you go. You brought it home.
I felt
it's
like
good.
That was, appropriate.
With the age that usually is for Miss Alabama, it usually ends up being an Auburn student or Alabama student, and that it's not something I keep up with. It's not something I have a record of knowing. I'm not fearing the thumb on how many times we've gotten the Miss Alabama, but that's always good to hear that she was a student of the Plains and not the other side of the state. So we like that. I'm sure I would love to know the record though. Like, how many have, now, and I'm sure there's probably some from UAB and from Stanford or whatnot, but that look, we're just looking at the total number of the pool. The pool is bigger. So I don't know, whatever it is, we got one more.
A little information just about it. Obviously, I said she won Miss Hoover and then won Miss Alabama. She'll now go compete for Miss America, and she eventually wants to be she wants to get her Doctor of Nurse Anesthesia practice and specialize in pediatrics. She got a $15,000 scholarship, and obviously has to now do a ton of community service appearances and works and things like that. So congratulations to Abby. We're super excited to have her representing Auburn in a way, even though she's representing the state out there. Again, Auburn wins at everything. Not just the sports,
obviously,
but in pageants as well. I want to give a shout. Just talked about the MLB and greats that have come through the MLB for Auburn. We've got another one. Number 60 is on the board for Auburn baseball, sending people to the big leagues. Officially, Bailey Horn was called up to the Boston Red Sox, making it again 60 Auburn baseballers that have made it to the MLB. What a great accomplishment for Auburn, the program, and its history. Obviously for Bailey, who we're mainly celebrating here. You'll remember him back from, I feel like it was the first of the World Series runs. Have I got that correct? I think he was pretty instrumental in the Georgia Tech series.
Yeah, like 2019 area.
I feel like that's correct. Right before the pandemic.
Yeah. So it's 5 years, but it's that's relatively quick for a pitcher to be called up, and so that's great for Bailey. And hey, that's just one more off-season plan for Plainsman Park. They're gonna have to adjust the number again on the outfield wall to be 60.
They thought they were done with they had their plans for construction, and it's just, you got one other thing to get ready for the upcoming season. Granted, it just ended, so I don't think they're too pressed for time right now. but it's great to see that number continue to tick up. And it's, again, folks, for those of you that were maybe a little bit discouraged or upset about this season, that's a history of Butch Thompson getting these guys to the next level, which most people will use as a very strong metric for how successful you are as a program. So
That's
congratulations.
right. Kyle, I'm going to throw you a curveball here that we did not talk about in our prep.
Oh, do it. I love
Auburn
curveballs.
potpourri.
Did Bailey Horn throw that curveball?
Sure. We'll go with that. Not the curveball I was going for. By the time people listen to this, the Auburn experience has probably been solidified and will be making its way to Paris because it is likely Suni Lee will be on the gymnastics team. But my wife is probably not listening to a thing we're saying because she's locked in the other room. But she should be on the team come tomorrow by the time this goes public.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever in doubt that she was going to be. No. I know she still had some work to do, but everybody does. We've all kind of just anticipated being able to follow and celebrate Suni Lee, but several other Olympic athletes that'll be there. So she will obviously be, in terms of Auburn representatives, the headliner, and rightfully so, because of what she did last time she was at the Olympics and, put the team on her back when Simone Biles had, I think it was called the twisties or something like that she got the condition of whatever, but, really stepped up and made a name for herself too. And helped out the team a lot. So we'll see how she does, and plenty of others. I'm sure you and I will be talking about all of those names in the coming episodes this summer. That's going to do it for Auburn Potpourri. Let's move into the next part of the show. We've got coming up for you guys 2 great segments. First of all, we are going to talk about video games, Auburn in college football 25. Some news came out this week, lots to talk about there. And if you haven't forgot about them, War Ready, the summer Auburn basketball team, is getting ready to go into action. We'll talk about them too coming up next. I want to talk with you about video games, Austin. Don't you love video games?
Yeah. Especially one.
Nice? Especially one. Isn't it nice that we finally get to have college football back in video game form? I know. It's been far too long. I'm tired of playing NCAA 2014 over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Cody Burns became, under my tutelage, the greatest coach at Texas State ever before going back to his alma mater to lead them to a national championship after winning 2 national championships at Texas State. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Kyle's ventures in NCAA 14. We are talking about college football, EA Sports College Football 25, which is not here yet, but soon. We had a ton of information this week come out about the game in general, but Auburn related stuff too. So I think this would almost serve as a mini preview to it, but let's talk about some of those things that come out today. I think some good discussion points. We got our first footage from this game of Auburn stuff, not just Auburn stuff, but Auburn in the game, Jordan-Hare Stadium in the game. And look, Austin's ready. If you are watching the video portion of this,
the TV has become useful.
He found a way to utilize it. You can see a clip from that particular. Is that my image?
No, this is ours. Yeah, this is our your doctored up images.
Well, it looks. I hope it looks good. But anyway,
it looks great. I don't know if people can read or see it, but it looks.
You
great.
Probably can't read it, but you can see I'm showing off a few things in there when we posted that this week. And if you want to see all the images that we took from the trailer, you can go see that in a post this week. But what this is showing is not only the end zone, 2 players for Auburn, current players that show up in this particular trailer. Other sequences will show the sideline, things like that. Austin, your first reactions to what you saw in this particular, what was it, like 7-second snippet of Auburn in the game?
Well, first off, more than anything, I think people need to know the clip is Auburn winning on a 2-point conversion run back, which is so Auburn. And against A&M of all people. Like it, if they hadn't done their research, then if you weren't sure, that this confirms it. I love the detail. I think you can see a lot. I loved how you broke it down on our social media pages. We've even got the student section dividing fence. I appreciated that. Everybody knows where that is. Everybody's been there. I love that we have the media viewing area where it always gets end up crowded toward the end of the game, and then also those premium seats in the back. That are new and have been updated over the last couple of years and coming into this year. So everything is no stone has been left unturned. And I think that from I don't mean this in a bad way. From a visual standpoint of seeing the game, it doesn't look that different to me, right? Like I know this better quality, the players look more realistic, but
Right.
I mean, that's what we expect to see from college football 25, like especially that first picture with like the
Right.
players, like you're running the ball back. I mean, that everybody kind of stops once he hits the end zone, and that's how it is. But I think it just proves that Auburn's going to look good in it. I love that we have like Keldrick Falk has his name on the back of his jersey.
He does.
And nobody created him to like do that, you know? Well, I mean, somebody did. It was their whole job, but like
Right.
you or I didn't have to do it. So I think it's really cool. It's another one of those things that's exciting. You talked about we're not just playing 2014 over and over again. When this happened, War Eagle probably was played by the band. That one didn't happen 10 years ago.
Because
as we discussed last week, it's in the game. And so it's awesome. It's just another little snippet that gets you even more excited.
This is not a critique, but in that same image that we took and pointed some stuff out for you on social media, obviously we point out Keldrick Falk, but they're the second player, I believe, and I did some research to make sure I wasn't mistaken, can only be, especially since the defense scored, Jaron Thompson, new Texas transfer at safety. Wrong number, though. So I don't remember him ever having, I think it's number 30 they have on there. I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
That's right.
But I think he's number 1 now.
Yeah. Defense. It makes me wonder kind of when they updated, like when did they have a certain deadline for rosters, right? Before they made this clip, and was he in here yet? With numbers updated yet? All those things. I think that's something that's going to be a pain about this is someone's going to be updating rosters like nonstop. And I think they're going to have to give it some at a certain point where they're like, look, we can only do so much.
Well, here's the thing. They're going to be making so much money off this game. They could afford to have someone do nothing all day.
That's true.
Update. This person's injury just happened. All right, he's out of the game. I mean, that stuff's probably going to happen. Like,
true.
If you're wanting to get a realistic, you are simulating the season. He's no longer available for this portion of the rest of the game or something. I don't know how it's going to work. Who knows? There's probably a segment where you can just play with the roster as was when it started. Hopefully there's one like a real-time type of event or something like that. But obviously first looks, I appreciate you. I know when we posted out the sideline stuff, some people are like, okay, sideline stuff is always there. But no, I mean, if you actually look at the sideline stuff, there's some specific things there. The pop-up tent for the trainers is there. I think it's like the speakers or some power box that they have over there. These are not just generic things that they threw out there. These are specific, minute details. The fence thing won me over. In the student section, dividing the general population from the students. I was like, wow, well done.
I agree. I mean, those small details, and just like, I love that there's Auburn logos all over the place. And no matter what with anybody, like you can see it on fan t-shirts. It used to just be everybody's in orange or blue, right? And so it's small details that they've done to make this a little bit better and different. And that's all we ask for. I think that's all anybody who loves this game wants is to see that they put forth a ton of effort into making sure it's still just the greatest game there is.
They know what we all want though, and that's the War Eagle flight, which they have.
They're not going to show us that until like it's going to be like the midnight trailer or something.
It has to be the final trailer, and if it's not in there, I'm just EA Sports. You have failed as a marketing team. Like, that's all you need. Just show the War Eagle flight, and Auburn fans will outsell anybody else in terms of a demographic.
Yeah, if they're smart, that final trailer will just be like traditions. All the ones that everybody, all the animals, I think they already showed the Iowa wave, but like, if they're smart, they don't even put any gameplay in it at the end. They just do all the pageantry and all the tradition. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. We spent all our time gushing about this, but that's the most Auburn related thing that's like concrete that we wanted to digest a little bit on the show this week. But let's talk about some other elements too that came out this week in relation to the game. I know we're going to have to kind of keep it succinct here too, because we could go on and on about this.
On and on. Yep.
They released this week for the game their opinion of what the toughest stadiums to play in will be. I'm going to read you the list as quickly as I can. In fact, I won't even give you the names of the stadium. I'll just give you the teams. Here we go. This is going from toughest.
You going top 25?
I got the 15. We're going to go to 15.
15. Got it.
Oh, because that's an important number.
You're right.
Where Auburn is at. Texas, this is not 1 to 15. Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Florida State, Florida, Oregon, Clemson, Tennessee, Auburn, South Carolina. That is 1 through 15. I have thoughts, but I think you are prepared for some, Austin, so I'll let you go.
Well, I there was tons of controversy, and look, to their credit, there was going to be controversy regardless of what they put out. Like, of course, I mean, it's everybody's got their own opinion about something. Everybody's got their own team. I don't understand a lot of this list. I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have it right in front of you of what they said they were taking into account, do you?
I don't have it in front of me.
Right, it was something like home loss record over a certain number of years, like prestige, seating capacity, that kind of thing.
Right.
I'm sorry, Texas A&M is nowhere close to the number one toughest stadium environment. I'm not putting them in one. I'm not putting them in the top 5. If it were me, and this is not what the segment is, I would have had LSU and Georgia and Florida all in the top 3, 4. Like, I don't see A&M in there. If we're going home loss record, I saw they are 24-20 since they got in the SEC at home against SEC opponents. No, that does not get you the number 1 spot. Regardless, Auburn at 14, I think, is a joke. I'm biased. I recognize that completely. You can't tell me. Yes, they lost to New Mexico State at home. I know. But you can't tell me Auburn
Say it one
at night.
more time for the Alabama fans, because they will
Look,
not be satisfied.
I know. But I do think I hope that maybe this is in a future thing. I think it'd be cool if you see like the differences in times of game versus how their stadium ends up being. Because look, I'll just be honest. Auburn at 11 a.m. in Jordan-Hare is not the same as Auburn at 6 o'clock at night. It's totally different. Like, Auburn at 6 o'clock at night against Alabama in late November I saw somebody say should be like Beaches of Normandy doomsday mode. Like, it should be nuts. Auburn at 11 a.m. in September at homecoming, like Kyle and I dread. Everybody's hating it. So I get it, but I hate the list. I was always probably going to hate the list.
And we recognize that, but we got to talk about it still. Here's just my very brief thoughts about it. I actually don't have a problem with Texas A&M being high, but not that high. I actually give Penn State a lot of credit, and I've thought about a lot of this because I gave them a lot of flack when we played them at their place and how much they were puffing their chest out about how their stadium experience was better than ours, and still debate that a little bit at certain aspects. But I think Penn State being up very high is a must. I think
agreed.
Alabama, Georgia. Okay, Georgia, yes, right now. Alabama, when it's somebody they care about, I put it an asterisk next.
Agreed.
For that fact, I think it bumps them out of the top 5, but I could be fine with number 6. Ones that I think there is the best case that Auburn should be ahead of: Oregon, Oklahoma, and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Look, Wisconsin's got the thing that the one thing, and I think you've talked about it. You want to go see it, right?
The snow.
Do what? They've got the snow and whatever the jump around song. Like, like that. But I'm sorry. I know. I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's those 3 don't make sense.
I know.
And even I have a problem with us being that close to South Carolina. I'm like, what?
You said it, not me. Now, listen, if you get South Carolina fans stirred up about something these days in content, they will just go ham about it.
They'll cock-a-doodle-doo all over the place.
They'll ruffle their feathers, all these things.
Wave their little towels all over the place. But there's so many things. Who would you put at 1? Just if you had to say one person.
If I had to put one, it'd be hard to not put an LSU close to there because I've experienced that. I think Penn State's up in that realm. Just for argument's sake, I will say LSU.
I agree.
Where dreams go to die is the saying. So I'll say
agree.
that. All right.
I agree.
Final note from the releases this week to round out this segment.
I don't want to talk about this.
Why? You really hate this?
No, I just like.
Okay, all right. So they released overall ratings, I guess is the word, for offenses, defenses, and then what would be their power rankings, and that would be your overall. Auburn's only in one of the list. Their defense is ranked 86 overall out of 100. Nobody's 100. I think 99 is usually the highest that you can get. Well, I guess so. It would be out of 99 then.
Kyle. This whole time I've been thinking that it was like 1 through 100, and we were number 86.
No, you see it. I knew.
No, 86 is good. 86 is good.
86 is okay. And in
Yeah,
fact,
but like
I'm shocked we're 86.
Yeah. Oh, I'm 86 is good when I think about what I did think was happening. I thought we were being ranked. Okay, I'm happier. Thank you.
So defense is got an 86 overall,
Yeah.
which I think put us somewhere in the teens ranking wise on defense. I think so. I had it written down somewhere. It was
Makes more sense.
17th overall in the game. We got to do that every time now. Offense, it was not in their top 25 in overall rating, so it will
Probably
be
not
lower.
Surprising.
That's true. It will be lower than 83, which was number 25 on there. We were not in the power rankings of their top 25, which would mean it would be your overall will be lower than 87. It could be 87 because you can have multiple people's at that overall rating. Just Austin, very quickly to round out. So we're going to have an 83 defense, lower than, 86 and lower than an 83 offense. If you had to guess Auburn's overall ranking or overall rating for this game with this information, what would you say it's going to be?
Well, what'd you say the overall number 25 was? 83?
87 for the overall rating.
I'm trying to think, and I'm not good at math, but I'm trying to think 86 and like averaged out to be lower than that. So I'm going to say their offense is going to be like a 74. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm so out of the loop, but I mean, I would think that would put them at like quick math, Austin, like overall of 80.
I'm thinking 80.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think they're going to want to put Auburn at 80, or else you're going to have a certain.
No, if it's lower, there's going to be some problems.
We riot. we find EA Sports.
We charge at dawn.
We charge at dawn with Aubie in the lead. Grab your pitchforks. Let's go get
Flying on the eagle.
Fly the eagle. Fly the eagle now. Dang it. That's the only thing that'll satiate us. If that was a word. I think I mispronounced that word, but hey.
We'll go with it.
That's
what 80 sounds, and given going into the year, 80 sounds, about right. But hey, I mean that just means you got a little underdog if you want their dynasty. If you want to start out there, I'm not going to start out at Auburn. I gotta, you like to work yourself up to your favorite team, but that means they got something to work with.
Well, there you go. That's what you've got from this past week. Game footage, ratings, and certain opinions about how stadium experiences should be ranked, whether they're right or wrong. All of that is wrong. A nice taste of what you can experience coming up in just a few short weeks. And of course, I'm sure Austin and myself will be in the game. It is summer. The NBA Finals is done. The draft is done, but we're not done talking about Auburn basketball. Now, we're not talking about the program. Mr. Scott has his visual aids that I have to continue to point out because I'm just fascinated by it now. He's got me it's like squirrel. I can't stop looking at him.
It's okay.
He's got the image up there on the screen, courtesy of War Ready, who we're talking about in this particular segment. If you guys don't know what War Ready is, we're going to give you a little bit of information. Most of you know what we're talking about. It is effectively the Auburn basketball summer team of alumni and former players that have decided that in this particular tournament called the basketball tournament, TBT, that they would like to play together for Auburn's honor under their banner that has adopted, in a sense, the Auburn essence, I guess is what you want to call it. Our feel, our fan base, because it's kind of like that saying, if you build it, they will come. If you put Auburn on something, we will follow. But you also got to perform when you get out there too. And I know
we just need one win, guys. We just need one win.
They've won one before. Now
you're right. I'm sorry, they won one last year.
But I feel really good about this team. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Obviously, I take it you've watched them in previous years, Austin, and
yes,
and we'll be paying attention to this year's game as well. Am I correct? Okay, so we already know that there's some interest there. Were you familiar with this particular the basketball tournament TBT before all this?
Before War Ready?
Before War Ready, before it became a thing with Auburn, like having
like I knew it was existed, right? It wasn't on my sports calendar.
Yeah.
But like you said, I'm like most Auburn family folks. Once something is attached to Auburn to it, and that first year, it felt like everybody was like, "This is the greatest thing ever," because I think it was fresh off the Final Four, or right before the Final Four.
Yeah,
and so there was a lot of steam headed toward Auburn basketball, and so Yeah, I mean, every year since I've followed closely, like you said, the performances haven't always been great.
And they
But
know that. I mean, we're not saying
of
anything that
course,
they're not understanding of, and they're working hard every day to make that better.
but it's
But
entertaining.
it is entertaining, and we get to see some of these favorite Auburn
Correct.
players and some that we haven't seen for a while. I do like
Yep.
there's been a kind of a regular group that seems to always be there, but then you'll get a one in there that we haven't heard from in a while, or maybe one that you forgot about for a little bit. So it's been a nice mix of things. So let me do this real quick, very briefly. Let me give you some information about the tournament, what you need to know. We're going to dive into the Auburn stuff really quickly and give you a short form preview of all this, because we could talk about this for 30 minutes, honestly. This is the basketball tournament. It will be, from what I can tell, there is some misinformation, or at least I was having a hard time understanding. It seemed like there was going to be 64 teams to start off. I think now it's 32, but somewhere around the time frame of July 19th through the 22nd, those first two rounds will be played, if there is two rounds. They'll be played at Butler, Cincinnati, Louisville, Lexington, Houston, Wichita, Dayton, and Pitt. The rest of the rounds, the Sweet 16 effectively, I'm sorry, let me back up. The 32 round will be July 21st to the 22nd. The 16 teams will be July 23rd through the 24th. Then the Elite Eight for them, 29th through the 30th of July. And finally, the Final Four and the championship game will be the August 2nd and August 4th in Philadelphia. So that's what you need to know for the whole thing. It is kind of like a March Madness event and a bracket. War Ready will play their first game in the first round against D2 Waymakers, and it does not look like they have an official affiliation to one school. They are the 5 seed. War Ready, which is also known as the Auburn alumni team officially, on July 19th, 6 p.m. You can watch it on TBT Live, which is their website. Some games will be on regular television, but this one seems like it's just going to be on their website. I think it's free. I logged in as a preview to see it. So I think you're going to have pretty easy access to watch all these things. So, folks, Auburn fans, you have your marching orders. Do not put anything on your calendar on Friday the 19th at 6 p.m. It is Auburn, the 4 seed. War Ready, the 4 seed. I'm going to keep calling them Auburn, versus the number 5 seed. Let's get to work. That's all I'm saying. My calendar's free.
So is that the 4 seed in the whole thing?
It'd be the 4 seed in that region, just like you would.
Okay. And how many are in a region?
That's where I was talking about. It gets a little confusing, because I think they have now gone down to only 32 teams.
Oh, I see.
I think it was originally supposed to be 64, but unless I read something wrong. So it would be the 4 seed out of how many teams are in that region, whether it's, the however many it needs to be per region. Sure, it gets a little confusing. I think they're having to do some logistics.
If they're playing the 5, then it's probably 8 in a region, right?
8-1, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5.
Look at us.
Math is not hard sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think that's exciting, and that we're in Lexington, and so if it's a familiar place for these guys, like they've played in Rupp Arena before. Side note, it would be very cool if we ever got to host one of these, because I think that it would be really fun. And look, like we've talked about, you want some dollars, put Auburn in it, and you'll make some dollars. Outside the point, I'm excited for these guys. I'm excited for this. This is always really fun. Like you said, it's a mix of guys that are all throughout really the Bruce Pearl era, right? From when it was just getting started to all the way up until in the last couple of years, and with everyone in between. So there's a lot of fun names here, and a lot of guys people will hope they get to see all that success from again.
Yeah, it's fun to watch this team every year, just for the simple fact of getting to relive watching these guys with an Auburn allegiance before, or like we used to, and now once again getting to do that as well. So if War Ready were to win this one, it looks like they're going to potentially have the ability to take on teams like the number 1 seed in that region, the Herd, Marshall's particular Thundering Herd alumni. I know. That would be the likely matchup if everything goes chalk. You would then have the opportunity, if you continue to win, to face somebody like the Wofford alumni, which I think they are the 3 seed, maybe, if I'm not correct. But then you've got the 2 seed, the Kentucky alumni.
Oh, that'd be fun and scary.
and I think would stay in Lexington. So,
Yeah.
hey, maybe they can start the trend of us being able to win in Rupp Arena.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It'd be a great thing. As a final note in our preview of sorts for this, I want to give you guys who you can expect from the team. You probably wanted to know this earlier, but let's talk through it. I've got it listed out here for everybody, and then Austin can give some thoughts about it. Point guards, Samir Dowdy, Javon McCormick, and Wendell Green. Shooting guards, Mustafa Heron, TJ Dunnins. Short forwards, just Malik Dunbar. Power forward, just Simeon Bowers. And 3 centers, Ron Delph, LaRon Smith, and Babatunde Akingbola, one of my favorite names that Auburn has had on their roster. And he is a fan favorite in terms of just Auburn fans just love Babatunde, even though he had to go, I think it was George Washington for his final year, which he had some success over there. So we're very happy for him. But he's back under some semblance of an Auburn relationship, I guess is what you call it. So that's your roster. I want to, before Austin, maybe I want to have some thoughts from you. I want to remind folks, these guys do this. They are, I think, compensated in some way, but they've got other schedules and stuff. So don't be surprised if someone isn't able to play the day of, or things have happened like that before. But this is your roster and how they're listed as such right now, an all Auburn roster. Your thoughts, Austin?
Yeah, I love it. I especially love, you mentioned Babatunde, Mustafa Heron's one, guys who had to go elsewhere or chose to go elsewhere after, or yeah, they chose, transferred, but still, enjoyed their time enough at Auburn to represent Auburn on a team like this. So that's exciting for me. LaRon Smith has been here from the beginning for War Ready. And so I love seeing him in back. If I had to pick one, I love, well, I know there's some differing opinions and feelings, but I love Cinnamon Bun Simeon Bowers. I mean, I just love him to death. He got there my freshman year.
I've never called him Cinnamon Buns before.
Cinnamon Bun Simeon Bowers. That's my guy. I played 1 through 5 positions for Auburn.
I'm never going to be able to look at him the same again now.
The point center, Simeon Bowers, was our guy. We got to Auburn at the same time. And so I'm excited to see all these guys. How can you not love to watch Malik Dunbar throwing it down again? TJ Dunnins is honestly a name I forgot about, but was, one of those early on guys who was just a bucket. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This is a good group. Is this finalized? Like, can they add more? Or
see, that's what I was kind of talking about.
Sure,
there have been people that have had injuries and weren't able to actually play on the day they were supposed to play before. That's happened a lot, and so
I think that happened to D'Angelo last year.
I think it happened to Bryce the very first year when he played with the team. So that's why I just want to warn people. I know you're excited about this group, but don't be shocked if something has to change, because this is not a typical event. They're taking the time to do this, and I think they are compensated in some way. And they're trying to win $1 million for winning the tournament too. There's anyway, life happens is what I just want to remind people of. Real quick, maybe to round out, you have looked at the roster here. Do you need me to read them to you again, or you got them pretty well in your head?
I got them right here.
If you had to say a starting lineup, if you are the coach,
oh boy,
who would you say? I'll go first so you can have some time.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Agree or disagree with me. My starting lineup is going to be Samir Dowdy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to differ. I thought about that first. At point guard, I'm going to put Javon McCormick. At shooting guard, I'm going to put 2 point guards out there. I'm going to put Samir Dowdy. At small forward, I'm going to technically put 2 small forwards out there. I'm going to put Mustafa Heron and Malik Dunbar. And my center is going to be probably LaRon Smith to start off with. Now, I know I left Simeon Bowers out of there, and I think he would be a great energy guy, especially for the first big man coming off the bench. I like having Javon McCormick and Samir Dowdy out there together, because I think, as we talked about in our Mount Rushmore segment for last week, where we talked about the best Auburn guards, giving them a shout out together, we never got to see them in that tournament and see what they could have done. So, differing thoughts to round out the show?
You had Javon, Samir, Malik,
and
Mustafa and
LaRon as our starting lineup.
Yeah, I don't differ. That's exactly that's what I would have said. I think that they can go. I think you'll probably see Javon and Wendell play similar minutes, and I think that because Simeon's a little shorter and on the shorter side,
which is why he's a power forward.
Correct. I think you'll see him if they want a little athletic small ball lineup instead of LaRon. Dangel's not on this team, right?
He's not on this team.
Yeah, he's not on this team this year. But no, I that's who my starting five would be. I agree with you completely.
And I know that excludes in that predicted starting lineup, or it's not even a preferred, it's just predicted, Malik Dunbar from starting. But again, he's one of those energy guys that I think is essential coming off the bench. So if I have Simeon, it's very similar to when we had for a while there, Chad Baker, Mazzara, and KD this year coming off different positions and different types of players, but big energy guys that literally just hit the other team in the mouth as soon as they come in. I think Simeon, I think Malik coming off the bench 2-3 minutes into the game is like a nice change of pace and kind of switches it's almost like a nice lineup change. If you're a smaller guard focused lineup to start with, and all of a sudden here's some bodies, here's some energy and here's some bodies to go along with it, and then you switch them back in.
Kyle, I'll ask you one thing. Can you tell me one thing you know about Ron Delph?
That is a great question. And why would you put me on the spot? I remember Ron Delph, actually. I just don't remember a ton about him. This is one of those guys that's nice to see again, to familiarize yourself. I think he was there for like one season.
That's correct. He redshirted and then transferred to FAU for 4 years.
But he obviously loves Auburn enough to be associated with us still.
Obviously so. He's a 7-footer. I did not know that. So
I remember him being tall.
So that would have been my senior year of high school. So he's not a Bruce guy. That's an interesting note right there. He's not a Bruce guy.
A lot of these guys are.
Welcome back, Ron.
Welcome back, Ron. Everybody else in
the game.
He brought it back around.
Well, you're not in the game yet. Hopefully you get in the game, but
hopefully we'll see you in the game. That is War Ready. That is the basketball tournament. That is what you have to look forward to. And we will be eagerly watching and cheering you guys on in this summer's event. That's going to do it for episode 83 of the Auburn Experience podcast. We thank you for joining us. If you want to connect with us offline or online, I guess I should say, you can do so on X with me at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott, Twitter, Instagram, or X, whatever. I hate it. I will never stop.
It's fine. It's fine. I know it's just going to be stuck in your crawl.
Drives me crazy. Anyway, at Austin G. Scott, hit me up. Episode 83, by the way, brought to you by like every white walk-on wide receiver in the last like 10 years. This year it's
wait a minute. Wait, Gabe McKenzie. You
defensive end, Gabe McKenzie. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I think he was a tight end. I'm pretty sure he was he not a tight end?
No.
I think 83 would be
all I remember is that game against LSU.
I'm pretty sure Gabe McKenzie was one. But anyway,
like 03. All right, well,
you tell us out there if there's a better 83.
Please.
But that's the episode. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Until we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.